Hello, everybody. It's great to be with you wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. I'm Martin Cross. This is Cross's Corner, and I have a sensational athlete, sculler, person in Cross's Corner today, Lauren Henry. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Martin.
How do you feel with that sort of description? Does it just sort of roll off now, or do you accept it as that's what people normally say?
Um, it still feels a bit surreal. I guess like quite a lot has happened for me in the last sort of 2 years, probably 18 months. And yeah, it still all feels quite new. I also feel very flattered.
Yeah. That's very nice. Tell us where you are and how your day's been so far.
So at the moment, the GB women's squad, we are on our pre-World Championship training camp in Varese in Italy. And we always come here for 4 weeks every year, but this year we're doing a slightly shorter camp because of the long haul travel to Shanghai. But no, it's been a good day, like a couple of like a good hard water session this morning, quite a long one, and then a bit of a shorter, more sort of techie session second, and then a bike. I had a bike this evening, which I've just come back from. But no, nice fun day. Enjoyed it, and we've got some more. It's quite a hard day planned tomorrow with two sets of pieces, one on the
Oh,
water and
wow.
one on the erg. So
Um,
yeah.
how are you when you're working on your tan lines?
Not very good. This is actually this. Funny you say that. This is actually a rather large improvement than it was before I left, because I had the worst, like a really really bad tan line here. I was like white and then brown. So I've actually committed to not wearing a base layer for a few sessions while I'm here to try and even the tan up. And this is actually like a massive improvement than what it was.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And how many ice creams have you had today?
None today. I had one yesterday. I had one the
Oh,
day before, and I think I had one the day before that. We
what,
eat a lot of ice cream while we're here.
where do you go for ice creams? Do you go in a town or do
We
they?
go to Gavirate, which is a bit of a
Ah,
drive, but it's my coach Andrew's favourite ice cream shop from when he used to come here with the Aussie team. So we drive to Gavirate to go to his favourite one.
Has Andrew tried to teach you any Australian sayings like fair
Uh,
dinkum and?
yeah, he says that sort of thing quite a lot. He has quite a lot of different sayings. So sometimes I'm not sure if it's Australian or if it's just him. Um,
Oh, I don't know where Lauren's gone,
oh,
but
sorry, I
that's
just
all
got
right.
spam. Someone just was trying to call me. But yeah, I sometimes don't know if the sayings are Australian or they're him, or a bit of a mix of both.
Yeah. Um, yeah, well, we can talk about Andrew and later on. I just wonder in terms of camp, because I was thinking, well, who's she working with? Like, because the women's double sculler work with the men's single and so on and so forth, so they don't get too lonesome. But who do you get to do things with on camp?
um, so actually through whilst at Caversham this year, I've been training with the women's pair predominantly. Like we can do a lot of side by side.
Mm.
And on camp I've been with our women's pair. Today I was with the women's double. I basically just row with bigger boats and just try and keep up by any means sort of necessary. But yeah, so like if I'm with a double, like they might give me a bit of a, when we do like UT1 stuff, they might give me a 20-second head start over like 6K, and I try and hold them off and stay with them for as like until the end.
I
But
bet
yeah,
they must.
it is quite interesting. But I found like training with a pair has really kind of helped me sort of thrive, because I've been used to like some of the pieces we've had have been like like really really good sort of side by side battling,
Mm.
and it really like pushes me on. And yeah, it's been really nice to have a little training partners, and it's actually been different girls throughout the pair, but we've called ourselves the Coxless Three while we've been out,
Ah,
because we do it together. And we always are trying to, we always have a thing where we say like the boat on that day, who's kind of, we have this thing where we say some days you're the hammer and some days you're the nail when we're training together. And we always say the boat that's the hammer needs to be nice to the boat that's the nail, like needs to cheer them on. Like, you don't need to go slow, but you just need to be nice to them at the end. So we have a really nice little training group, which makes it good fun.
I love that. How are you on camp? What sort of camp person are you?
Oh, that's kind of a can of worms, I'd say. I am someone that in the past has really, really struggled on training camps. Like, if I'm going to be completely honest,
Mm.
I am a very routine driven person, and I quite like my own space. And camp kind of takes me out of my normal routine and takes me out of my own space. Um,
Ah,
and it's been something that, I mean, the first year I came on the team, I was fine. And then I came on camp and I think I cried nearly, it was 2023, and I think I cried nearly every day. Like,
oh
I
wow.
just really, really struggled with it. And like since then, I think we've been more aware. Like, that was really the first camp I'd ever been on. Um, because I wasn't in like a big club, so I didn't go on camps there. So I hadn't never really done it before. So then I think the more we became aware of it, the better. Like, it's become a lot better for me now on camp, and I enjoy it now. And I'm having a much better time, and I'm getting a lot more out of it. And it's just things like, I'm sort of, I wouldn't say, they're kind of careful who they'll put me in a room with, just to make sure
Yeah.
that but yeah, I think things have been like, I wouldn't say I'm someone that has in the past really, really struggled with camp, and like I'm only just, I'd say now this year, really properly getting to grips with having good camps.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's interesting because it is a, you know, it is a very kind of different environment than training at home. But it can be really good fun. And it's just trying to sort of know what I find difficult and try and make it less difficult.
Yeah. Do you see any of those plastic duck lures on the lake at Varese when you're out?
Well, I don't know, because I see quite a lot of like buoys and different metal things sticking out
Mm.
so I'm not
What
sure what's what.
when we trained there, we sort of nicked about 6 plastic ducks and then had them trailing behind our boat, bobbing like this. And the hunters took exception to it, and they thought our coach the next day. Well, they thought our coach was somebody else's coach, Richard Ailey. So they fired off a shotgun at him. Yeah. That was
Wow.
down the Varese end of the lake. So yeah, but that was fun for us, not a training camp. I would. This may be the time to ask you in terms of personality, because I know you're a twin.
Mm,
How similar are your personalities?
very different.
Ah,
Very different, yeah. I would say I'm quite introverted.
mm-hmm.
I'm quite um quirky, I'd say, at times.
Ah,
I'm very driven as well. Like, I'm very sort of, and I would say this is the best possible way, I am a bit of a loner. I quite enjoy being on my own and my own company, which I think works quite well with what I'm doing. But she's a lot more like sociable and life of the party kind of
yeah, yeah.
person.
Um, I read somewhere that you kind of were both in drama school. And then you kind of sort of, rowing sort of
Mm.
was a thing when drama school didn't happen, and you like rowing. But I'm kind of thinking, oh well, I'm thinking, well, if that's what Lauren's like, she wouldn't have enjoyed drama at all. But maybe that's not right.
No, I did. I think I did enjoy it. I think I've maybe become a bit more like quiet, and shy as I've got a bit older. But I
Ah,
did used to really enjoy it. But yeah, I just one summer, my sister didn't go, but she used to row like that on Saturday mornings when I used to go, and it stopped for the summer. My dad was like, "Well, you're gonna have to come rowing with us because I'm not leaving you at home." So I went rowing, and I was terrible. Like, I was absolutely dreadful. I had no natural ability. I had no natural fitness. I couldn't pick it up very well. my first race I ever did, which was probably not that long later after, I asked, it was in like a J12 Cox quad. And
Yeah.
I asked the Cox, I was like, are we going to do 10 strokes hard, 10 strokes light, 10 strokes hard, 10 strokes light in the race? And he was like, no, we're going to go hard the whole way. And I was like, I couldn't comprehend how you could go hard the whole way. I was like, what? And it was probably only 700 meters. So yeah, I definitely didn't take to it. Like the first year, I wouldn't say there was anything that drew me to rowing. I just kind of went because I kind of had to go. And then, it's kind of started to sort of take off a bit.
In the single?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't. When I was first, so I originally rowed at a club called Hollowell Scullers, which was like sort of 40 minutes away from my home. And then
I'd never heard of them.
You're sorry?
I've never heard of them.
No, it's very, very small club. And then I sort of 6 to 8 months later went to Leicester Rowing Club because they had a waiting list for juniors at the time, and then 2 spots opened up, so we went, and I think that's where it started to sort of take off. At like the time, then I entered, like I won my first races, and then I started to win quite a lot. But at that time, I wouldn't go in a single. Like if they tried to put me in a single in training, I'd cry because I didn't want to go in the single. I was like, don't want to go in the single, hate the single. And then like the following year, I had this like I started doing a little bit of training in the single. I kind of realized that actually I'm quite good in the single. Like I'm quite strong. At that point, I was really good on the erg, and then I kind of realized that the single was, for me at that age, kind of a bit like the erg on the water, and I could just try really hard.
Yeah.
And then like I must have been about 14, and that year I kind of raced the single for the first time. I think I dragged my parents to like 20 regattas over the summer.
No.
And like we'd take the boat on the car, and I'd like walk around and have like the draw for all the like all my races printed off on a clipboard, and I used to like write down who won by what. And then I think I won every regatta I entered that year, apart from one. And then I kind of was like, right, I really think I could be good at this, and I just caught the rowing bug like instantly.
Oh, that's amazing. I guess I'd like to maybe follow that career a little bit later on, but maybe just think about this season. I think almost every race you've done has been 720 or less. I think your opening heat at Lucerne was for you
Quite slow.
a bit on the slow side. But I was thinking, does 720 equate to sub 7 for a man or sub 650? Like, what's your sense of that in terms of the speed that you've been doing 2K in?
I'd probably say sub 650. I mean, I had a list, like, we'd had I think before this season, or the earlier this season, I had a list of people that had gone sub 720 in the single. And there weren't like that many. Like obviously there were like a good number, but they were all people that had, won medals and been quite impressive. So yeah, we kind of had this goal that we were like, we need to be able to go consistently sub 720. And I'd say, yeah, apart from the heat in Lucerne, I've been fortunate that most of the races have either been like quite still or had like a good little tailwind, like in Plovdiv. But that was kind of the number we felt that we needed to be able to do consistently, be under 720, to be really punching over the top of women's single sculling.
Yeah. I think Florine won the Olympics in sub 720, didn't she?
Yeah, I think it was 717.
Yeah. Yeah, your first race at Plovdiv, which was the heat of the Europeans, I think. So it's basically a heat. So you're going to qualify, but you end up doing this ridiculous time. I say ridiculous because the world record is 2002, and I remember seeing Nakova do it. And yeah, I mean, there were a lot of quick times that year, but that's ridiculous because it's still the world's best time. And you're the second quickest female sculler ever after Nakova. So just tell us about that race. Presumably you're looking at a pace coach and you can see how quick you're going. down the course?
Yeah, so I'd been doing some pretty good times at Caversham up to that point, and Andy said to me, like, we're gonna go really fast. Like, Plovdiv's a really fast course. Like, it's been
Yeah.
fast when I've been there before. He was like, we just get a good day and we just go for it. So I was like, okay. And we looked at the water in the heat, and he was like, in the sort of the days, couple 2 days before when we were there just training, the water had been so fast, like I was paddling really quickly. So he was like, oh, like maybe we should just go for it in the heat. And I was like, okay. And he said to me, if you think you're on for like a really good time, like just go. So I just went out, and I just remember sat on the heat, and I was like quite calm, so I was like, oh, this is a heat, like I should be fine. And I just remembered I seen these splits, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good. And I got to like 250 to go, and I was thinking I might be under 710 here. And I was starting to tie up a bit, but when I crossed the line, I could just see 70 something. And I was like, wow, that, like, to be honest, I don't think I would have been that much more happy at that point if I like set the world best time, because I was just so stoked that it was my first like international race senior in a single, and I'd just gone out and I'd done that, and I was like, wow. And then I found it a little bit difficult after that, because in a way it was my like first time going out, and I'd already created like a bit of sort of there was quite a lot of hype around the time and what I'd done, and
Yeah.
I'd almost put a lot of pressure on myself before I'd even got past a heat. But yeah, it was really good fun, and I really do think that at some point I can break the world best time, if I get like good conditions. Like that's definitely a massive aim of ours. But yeah, it was pretty special, that heat in Plovdiv.
Yeah. People watch this. Cam Kilty watches a lot of Cross's Corner. It's nice to see you, Cam. He's come in with a question. I can see why he wants to know this, and I guess we'll generally talk about technical things. I mean, I don't know, maybe 3 things that you think stand out that makes you successful from a technical standpoint, because everyone's been talking about the great technique this season, and there's been some fantastic camera shots, so they've really got close to you, which has kind of enhanced the chat, I suppose.
This is interesting, because I think before I racing this thing, I thought I was like good technically, but I thought it was actually my physiology that was like what made me good. And then since I've been racing and people have been talking about my technique, I've been like, oh, it's actually all right. I think, what I'd say is we try and keep it quite simple. Like, like I think what we try and do is just get like a really good, clean, fast catch. Like, it's very difficult to explain what a good catch like feels like, but obviously when you can feel a really good catch. And I think I can suspend my body weight quite well off the handles. And like I think some of it comes from that, because of my physiology, I can be quite almost not relaxed through the middle of the race. That's the wrong word, but I can be quite in control of what my body's doing. So I can be like quite low in the shoulders. Like, I'm not being completely overcome with lactate, so my technique's falling apart. So it's quite robust. That's probably the third thing I'd say.
Yeah.
But like in terms of like, I have like bent wrists, I lead right in front of left. Like, there's a lot of little things I do that are not very good at all.
That's comforting
But
to know.
yeah, the amount of times I've been told about my bent wrists, and that my left wrist in particular likes to really like turn down on the handle.
Yeah.
Which is something I'm working on at the moment.
Oh, that's good. So this may not really be the right way to ask. I just, when you said about you're good at suspending, weight off the handles, what sort of percentage of your body weight do you think you can get suspended on the
I have
handle?
no idea, but I just feel like I'm sort of not really, I wouldn't say not on the seat, but like my weight's not really on the seat. It's more through the feet and the handle. Is how
Yeah.
I'd explain it.
And how often when you're paddling do you think this is a 10 out of 10 feel at the catch? Or and how often are you aware, oh, I need to do something different, or is it not like that?
I'd say like feeling at the catch, I like that's probably one of the things I can like really consistently get like really good. But like in terms of actually like my paddling goal, it's rarely a 10 out of 10. I'd sometimes say it's a 9 out of 10. But like I just, there's always like things where you're like wobbling about and like you take a bit of a dodgy stroke and you get washed down, and especially here on the lake where all the speed boats are going up and down, like then you're getting washed and you're wobbling around. But I'd say it's strange because some days you feel like you're paddling really, really well and you're really efficient, and some days you don't feel like you're paddling quite as well, even though it can look very similar from the outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually tend to feel I row better at pace than I do at paddling. I
Oh,
find
why?
the whole kind of um what's the word? Um Kind of how I move through the drive. I find I do it a lot better at race pace, or it feels a lot better at race pace than it does at
Mm,
paddling, because I feel
mm.
like everything's happening at the right speed. Whereas I sometimes struggle at paddling to get it to not happen too fast or too slow.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Um, is there any sense that you have a best race that you've done this year, or you grade your races, or is it that you just look at parts of them and say that was good, or that was less good?
Um yeah, I mean, in some ways I think my best race probably, like obviously in terms of time, was the heat
Mm,
in Plovdiv. But like other races kind of stand out for other reasons. So for me, Lucerne, I was not well in Lucerne. After Varese, I was not well. Like I
mm.
was in Lucerne, I was on all the sort of lemsips sort of kind of things
Oh
that you're
no.
allowed. I was sick before the heat because I was coughing so much, like I was coughing stuff
Yeah.
up. I was sick before the semi-final because I was coughing stuff up, and I was sick after the semi-final, and I was really worried. Like I had this fear that, and it kind of had been a bit in training, that I just couldn't, something was wrong, like my lungs, that's what the issue was. I kind of had a cold that had moved kind of to my lungs
Mm,
in the kind of last bit of it, and that's when I was racing. And I kind of had this thing where I was like, I actually am really worried I'm gonna get to halfway and I'm gonna start like having a coughing fit.
yeah.
And I actually don't think it was my best racing at all, but I was really pleased with it, considering I was definitely not 100% to like kind of hold sort of my confidence and my racing, and still produce something that was pretty good.
That's amazing. I once had a race with partner, a guy called Adam Clift, and we were scheduled to race a pairs race, and we were doing bursts at Nottingham, and he was coughing during the burst, and I just said, I'm not racing with you. We're pulling out, which was quite a big deal because it was like a bit of a national trial. But we'd had a good result beforehand. But I guess it's not like that in the single.
No, and that's the thing, you kind of make the decision. I feel like in a crew boat, when people have been ill, like you can take them out and stuff. And I was confident that my pieces in training had been like fine. Like they weren't wasn't
Mm,
wasn't setting the world alight. They weren't the best, but they'd been okay. So I was like, well, I'm gonna go. I might as well go. And if I get ill, I can just pull out. And in my head, I was like, I've got a Henley the next week, but Henley, I wouldn't say it was the bottom of our priority list, but we were prioritizing the
mm.
World Cup over Henley, as I'm sure most international crews were. Like Henley's really great and it's really good fun, but like we obviously, the World Cup is where you've kind of the last chance to meet your opposition before Shanghai. So we were kind of like, oh, we'll just do it. And Andy is a big believer that like you can do a lot in adversity. Like
Yes.
you can hear about people that in the face of adversity they do incredible things. So he was like, there's no reason why you can't race with a cold. Like if I was really ill, we'd be saying let's not do it, but I was very much of the opinion of like, I've got a bit of a cold, we just changed the training a bit that week just to try and let me bounce back, and we just went out and raced, and it's still like was still really good. And I think actually I'm really, really glad I did it, because it's given me the confidence that it doesn't have to be perfect to be fast. Like, yeah, I can, who knows if I'm going to be ill anywhere, but I still know that, okay, I can still produce something good. As long as I'm not like really ill, I can still produce something that is really quite good.
That's fantastic. And you've also got the confidence to not necessarily sit down off people, but allow people to go off quicker than you.
Yeah. I guess that's something that's developed through all my years, as I've always been a slow starter in the single, juniors and 23s, but I was actually slow. Like I wasn't just in the pack. Sometimes I'd be dropped from the pack because I was always had too much confidence in my second half. Whereas I think now, I've been at the stage where I was like, no, I need to be in the field. I don't mind if, people want to try and go up a little bit. But, I know how I want to race. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't like to be a bit faster off the start, but I'm not a particularly explosive athlete. I'm more aerobic. So yeah, that's kind of, and I think, maybe people have tried to go off harder to try and get in front. But I'm quite, I wouldn't say I'm quite content with doing my race plan. I'd say that's, regardless
Yeah.
of where other people are, I'm quite content that if I do my best 2,000 meters and how I want to structure it, then I should get a pretty good result from that.
And against Frida in the final, you got another record. I was trying to remember who held the previous course record.
Janine Gamellan.
Oh, Janine. So actually, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Do you want to talk to us about you and Janine?
Yeah. So when I was 14, 15, when I decided that I would like to be, my dream has always to have been a world and Olympic champion in the single. Like that's my dream in rowing. That's always what I've wanted to do. Like I've always been a single sculler since very young. So like my eyes were very much on like that's what I want to do. And when I was 15, maybe, she won the world championships in Sarasota, and she went undefeated that season. And so much of the time I'd heard like, oh, you're quite short for a rower, or you've like, like most of the people that do the singular like big and tall, or most people that make the national team are big and tall. And I remember seeing her and being like, if she can do it, like why can't I do it? And I was so I'd watch all her races, and I'd be so like, I just watched her and I was so impressed by her. And she had this white cap that she always used to wear,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I bought the same white cap because I wanted to be like her. And the first race I actually wore it was the national championships in 2017, and that was the first big race I ever won. And then I
Wow.
wore it for like years and years after. But yeah, she was a very, very big inspiration of mine. And it was actually the first time I went to Lucerne in the quad in 2023. She was there, and I saw her, and I was too shy to go up and say anything. And Hannah Scott said to me, and I said to Hannah, oh, like I'm such a, like she was an inspiration to me when I was like younger, like I'm such a big fan of hers. And she said to me, like, you should go up and tell her that, because she'll be like really
Yeah.
touched.
Yeah.
So I did, and then ever since then, like she always has messaged me, and like when I've done well, and I've had a chat to her at Lucerne, and it's been really nice because she has definitely, been an inspiration for me, that you don't need to be the biggest, the tallest to be good at rowing, which I feel like, unfortunately is kind of a, height does help, but it's definitely, I think too many people get too caught up with being really, really tall. Like I don't think it's not the be all and end all. Like there's a lot of other things that go into boat moving than simply just being tall. So yeah, it was really, inspirational to me to see that someone could be that good. Like they could be the best woman in the world and be the same height as me, because it was like, well, you know, I'm sure there is probably a limit. I'm sure if you were 5'2", you'd probably struggle to race. But there's so many people that are really good and not like tall, like Imogen Grant. Like she's shorter than me. She's the only person on the team actually that's shorter than me.
Wow.
But like, yeah, there's a lot of good people that are small, and like, virtually at the moment, I'd say our team isn't the tallest it's ever been, but we've got some really good people in it. So yeah, I just was really inspired by her, and it's been really nice actually to speak to her and kind of tell her that she made a big difference.
Another great sculler who I think would be a similar height, I don't know if you've come across her at all, is you probably didn't overlap, is Anna-Kathrin Thiele.
I have seen her race, yeah, the German sculler, and
Yeah.
she's a lot of gold medals in the quad.
Yes,
I
and
think, yeah.
she's definitely not the tallest person. I would say she's probably similar height. Maybe she might be like half a centimetre taller than you or something, but not much. But yeah, but that's fantastic. Yeah, maybe just, I don't know, because people sometimes don't want to talk about their opposition, so I can quite understand that. But just talk about the women that you've raced maybe this year, if you would, and you know, maybe how you get on with racing them, if you chat to them, or I don't know if any of them have done the Scullers hoist at the end on the victory ceremony with you.
Yeah,
Or
I've done
yeah.
it twice. It was very
Ah.
fun. I was very excited.
Yeah, but you've yeah, just talk about your rivals a little bit.
Yeah, so I guess like for me this season, my two main rivals have probably been Fiona, the Irish sculler, and
Mm,
Frida, the Danish sculler. And they're both, that was the podium at Europeans and at the World Cup in Lucerne.
mm,
And you know, they're both very great scullers. I think it's really impressive that they've moved over from sweep rowing to
mm,
sculling, so, and had success like so early on. Um, you know, like I'm sure, you know, that they will be out fighting come in Shanghai. So I'm looking forward to racing them. And yeah, they both seem really, really nice. Frida, obviously I raced her at Henley as well in the final.
yeah,
And she led me for probably until, at least until the barrier. I only really started to move ahead at Forley.
yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, I've enjoyed my racing with them so far, and
Mm.
hopefully it continues through the cycle.
One name that's kind of been around all season in terms of with a big question mark is the Olympic champion,
Mm.
Caroline Florine. And you know, I was hearing that she was definitely going to be on the start line in Shanghai, that her boat was in a trailer that had already gone to Shanghai. And then it came out that she wasn't going to be in Shanghai. What was your reaction when you heard that news?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I did is I rang my coach Andy up and was like, "Oh, Florence in Shanghai," because we kind of been talking about it a lot and saying like, "Oh, we need to make sure we're quite quick off the start." 'Cause she is quite quick off the start, so we need to make
Mm,
sure we like stay with her. And we were really looking forward to racing her. And the first thing he said was, "Oh, that's a bummer," because we
mm,
wanted to race her. Like, we genuinely wanted to test ourselves like against her. But you know, it does mean that I have probably now raced most of the people that are going to appear on the start line in
mm,
Shanghai, which I think does give you some confidence. I mean, there has been a big break, so you don't really know how people are gonna turn up. But yeah, I think actually we were quite disappointed that she wasn't there, because we did want to test ourselves against her. But I'm sure that we will get the opportunity to do that
mm.
at somewhere like next year. And you know,
Yeah, I
she
hope.
was.
Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say she was obviously so good the last cycle that I really want to race her. I did actually meet her at Henley for the first time. I had a bit
Oh,
of a fangirl. I had a bit of a fangirl moment. I was
oh
like, she
wow.
shook my hand. I was like, "Oh my word, you're so fast!" Like, oh. And I was like, I literally had to tell myself, I was like, "Stop!" I was like, you're going to be racing her in Shanghai." I was like, "You can't be this fangirl." But yeah, it was nice, and I really am looking forward to hopefully racing her next season.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that the digging out of the Bosman, which I gather will happen after the Dutch team have left for Shanghai, is going to make the course fair and even.
Yeah.
And you two women can have a great contest, hopefully in the final of the women's singles, which will be on her home water.
Yeah,
But
I
there
think
we go.
that will be an extra sort of touch to it, the fact that it's on her home turf.
Yeah, I watched yesterday the Henley final. Was it 21? Between you and your quads crewmate Lola Anderson. And I think I'd forgotten the race, to be quite honest. And I thought, I was watching it down and I thought, oh, I can see Lola, she's sculling really well. And then I thought, oh, Lauren's like, she's not sculling like that anymore. And then it was like, oh, and Lola must have won this quite easily. Anyway, then I wound it on to about 300 meters to go. And then it was like, oh my God, amazing finish. What was that race like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was, in my head, I was a 19-year-old fresh out of juniors. I went to the under 23s that year in the single, and I'd come fourth, which at that time I was like, this is my first year of under 23s, fourth in the single. I was like, I think that's quite a good result. We were quite pleased with that. I had quite a disrupted year that year. That was COVID, year with COVID, and I'd broken 4 or 5 ribs that year, so I was
Oh
not
my God.
particularly.
How
I
can you
didn't
break
do.
4 or 5 ribs?
I've broken quite a lot of ribs.
Okay.
And yeah, so it was, to me, the fact that I was even in the final, like I'd beaten some really good people to get to the final. And like I don't think I backed myself quite enough. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think maybe I should have been. Obviously, I say this now. Like, I should have been braver. I should have probably gone out harder. But at the end of the day, like at that time, for me, that was a really big achievement. Like, I was like very, you know, there was a lot of the sort of the beginnings of what's here now, but I was a lot younger, a lot more sort of naive, I would say. Like I don't know what I know now about
Yes.
racing, about being under pressure. But no, I look back at that race and I look back at it fondly. I mean, there was a lot of times last year we joke about it in the quad. But it was, for me at that age, it was like a really big achievement, to make the
Yeah.
final of that event so young. But yeah, I think it was nice to go back and win it this year. That sort of made me feel a bit better.
And we were talking before we went on air about you looking around, and I'd sort of noticed against Lola that you know, when you were coming back on her that quickly, I think you must have lost by a canvas or maybe half a length or something. And then you said, oh, actually, I was looking around this year for the finish as well.
Yeah, my forearm. It was quite. There was a big rainstorm on finals day of Henley this year, and we were up at the start, and my blades got so wet and slippy that I was having to grip on quite hard, because obviously it's very bouncy there as well, so you don't want to let go of your blade when you hit a wave. And I was fine until I got to the last 100 meters, and then my left forearm just started to go like numb. I just couldn't, like, I gripped on so hard that I completely lost control, and I was doing like half like square blade rowing. Like, it was not, my blade work was not very good, and I was just, that last 100 meters, I was thinking, like, I don't want to fall in steward's enclosure in front of everyone. Like, that would be very embarrassing. I was, when that line came, then I was very glad, because I would have really liked to have put on like a big sort of burst at the end, but I was just trying to cling on sort of with my arm and just trying to get over the line.
Yeah.
But I think on the video, I literally looked every single stroke for the last 10 strokes of where that line was. Like, it could not have come soon enough.
I thought it was very sporting of you to allow British Rowing to put out a picture of you falling in at Caversham. Was that getting out or getting in?
It was getting in. It was a day in our training program that we called
So yeah, I think Lauren will just come back in a second on her phone. She's just been talking about how she fell in. Here's Lauren. There we go. There you go. Hello.
No, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
So yeah, it was a day in our program that we call Triple Treat Tuesday, which is essentially 3 rows that are very hard with 90-minute breaks between the three. And we were both into the second one, and a lot of the juniors were there at Caversham training for the World Championships, and they were waiting to get out, but the landing stage was really busy, so I was like rushing off. So I pulled my blade in like really far, and then I just lost balance and I fell in front of all the juniors. Everyone was watching. The women's eight were laughing because they were just boated. And Izzy, the photographer, was taking photos of people on like boating for the Instagram, and she just happened to get me every stage of falling in. It was quite funny. I mean, we did just literally tip the boat out. I just did the piece wet. And yeah, that was that. I mean, it was quite nice because it was quite a hot day, so I actually felt quite cool when I was doing it.
Oh yeah,
But I actually love them photos because very rarely do you get a photo of you falling in.
yeah,
So I was like,
yeah.
I'm gonna treasure them.
Oh, lovely. So how were you for a singular individual? And you've talked about your personality very articulately. How were you in the quad in 23 and 24?
I was definitely, I'd say, I really enjoyed the quad. I got a lot from the quad. I learned so much from Georgie, Lola, and Hannah. I'd say in the quad, I was quite quiet. I was a lot younger, and like a lot less experienced. So I didn't, like Hannah Scott was very much the leader of that boat in terms of like training and running the sessions, and she was so fantastic at doing that. Like she was, she, if someone had to make a decision, she'd do it and she'd do it well. I very much more like I viewed my job really was to sit in the bows and push as hard as I could.
Yeah.
I did some of the race calls as well.
Oh, did
But yeah,
you? What like?
yeah, only the ones to do with sort of where we were in other
Okay.
cruises. That's one of the things with bow, you can kind of see where you were.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, oh, we're half a length down on the Dutch, or we're 3/4 of a length down on the Dutch, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But yeah, I learned a lot from the quad, and I think the most important thing was I learned how to win races, which I didn't really do a lot of before being in the quad. Like I kind of would get to the big day and I sometimes would crumble a little bit. Like I had some moments where I was really good, but I wasn't as consistent. Whereas I think that really taught me, they taught me a lot about being sort of in a senior program. Like I hadn't moved out of home before I came down in 23 and went in the quad. So yeah, they were very, I'd say, good at sort of being quite understanding that I was quite young, and probably I wouldn't say I wasn't immature, but like I was a lot less mature. Like I was at a different life stage, shall we say.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but yeah, I was definitely quite quiet. I just used to like to just try and just work as hard as I could in that bow seat.
Yeah. Obviously, you got the win over the Dutch in Belgrade the year before the Olympics
Yeah,
in a fantastic race. That's
yeah,
your first World Championship gold.
yeah. And I did it actually. I don't have any junior or under 23 like world championship medals. But I actually got a gold at the senior world championships as an under 23 in the seniors.
That's random.
So yeah, and that for me, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I think we had the belief that that race was very special because we hadn't actually won a race in that boat before then, apart from Henley. And we really felt we could do it. Like we really had that belief we could do it, and we just nailed it really.
Oh wow. Yeah. I'm guessing if you're younger and you're like, this is all new to you, that maybe Olympic year had, was more pressure for people like Hannah Scott than it was for you, but maybe that's wrong.
Um, I don't know. I think Hannah was really good in the sense that she was the only one of us that had been there before. And she was definitely very much a guiding figure for the rest of us of like, this is what she made us a little booklet of like what she learned at the Olympics.
Ah,
Like last time that she wished she knew before she went. And she was very good at like guiding us through all of it.
mm,
And telling us kind of like what she learned. She was really sort of instrumental in that. I'd say we all kind of felt equal sort of pressure. I mean, in some ways for me, like I think the difference, the only difference was is maybe that I hadn't been working for it like as long as they had.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Um, like I'd say at the start of the cycle, I was still a junior. Um, so but that was probably the only difference. We were all still like, I still, we wanted it so much, and we all felt that we were in a fantastic position to win an Olympic gold. And like, as we like at the time, like you don't know whether you're ever going to be in that position again, and you just have to seize that opportunity. And yeah, do I think the Olympic final was our best race ever in the quad? No.
Ah,
But we still, it was a good race, but we still got the job done. And every time I watch it back, it gives me a bit of a nervous sort of
mm.
like I watch it and I don't know how we move back so quickly at the end.
Um, how are you with nerves before the start of races? What do you do with that, or is it an issue for you, or are you on top of
Um
it?
I wouldn't say, I'd say in the past I've struggled when I was younger. I'd say now I'm much better. I do remember at Belgrade in 2023 at the World Championships, I remember sat on the start line and I thought, I was like, oh, like I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I remember Hannah just
Oh wow.
turned around and she gave me like a fist bump and she was like, yeah, we've got this. And I was like, yeah, okay, we've got this. And
Okay.
then I've kind of learned from watching, people, more experienced people around me that I felt dealt well with it, like how they've dealt with it, and kind of tried to sort of take that on myself. And I think this year, um, like I think I've dealt like pretty well with it. And I think
Mm,
one of the things for me is I take a lot of confidence from my training. Like I feel really well prepared when I go racing. Like I know I've put the work in.
hmm.
So I kind of just take, you know, I take that as confidence and try and just do my best.
Mm. Um, I want to talk a little bit more about the Olympic final, but it strikes me you've worked with Andy Randell in for the 23 season, the
Yeah.
24 season, and now the 25 season.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about your relationship?
Yeah. Like I'd probably say he's the most influential person in my own career. Um, like we have a really great relationship. Like we get on really well naturally.
Hmm.
Like he very much, when I came in, I was very young, and he was very keen on just, he took the time to make sure that like once or twice a week we'd sit down and he'd make sure that I was like doing okay with like living on my own and all that kind of stuff. And we kind of built this like really good athlete coach relationship and like a lot of trust. But yeah, he's so enthusiastic. Like the amount of sort of joy he brings every day is like, he's like such a joy to work with. And I really have so much trust in him and his program. And he's very good at managing me as well as an athlete. And I would say I can be really difficult to manage. Like I can be quite emotional. I'm someone that wants to do too much, I think. And he's got good now at trying to sort of pull me back when he needs to. um but yeah, I think like I really wouldn't be doing what I'm doing or going as fast as I am going if it wasn't for him. And also his belief in me, like through this whole season, he kind of took a bit of a chance on me and was like, I think you could do the single before. And I'm not sure other people necessarily agree with him, but he like really believed in me, and that gave me a lot of confidence, I guess, in myself.
Mm. Um, How much time did you have off after the Olympics in Paris before you got back in your single?
Well, I had a week. I had a
A
week
whole
off after the
week?
final. I had a week off after the final, and then I got back. Used to go to the gym in the Olympic Village and just do a session a day to start sort of building the engine again.
I don't think
And
that counts that you had a week off then.
then when I got home, so after 2 weeks after the final, I started training again, like sort of 2-3 sessions a day. I had my single. I used to go out on Leicester Canal and row up and down. Like I knew that this is what I wanted to do this year, and I knew how I felt I wanted to get there. And I spoke to Andy about it a lot. And this is, he wasn't like, you don't have a break, but I said to him, I don't really want a massive break. And he was like, well, that's fine. Like, you do what you want to do. This is your project. So yeah, after a few weeks, he started to help me. Like, for the first couple of weeks, I programmed for myself,
Mm.
the first few weeks. And then as we started to get more into September, he started to program for me. And yeah, I was back at Caversham when it opened again on the first day back with all the new group, the LA Potential group. And then yeah, I decided I wanted to do November trials in my single because I thought it was quite good fun, to go racing in my single. But yeah, to be honest, I'm gonna be completely honest, I love training. Like, I just
Mm.
love it. Like, there's nothing else a lot of the time I'd rather be doing. It just gives me such a buzz. Um,
Yeah.
but it was actually nice because I trained at Leicester, and I my old coach Howard, who coached me through
Mm.
juniors and my first 2 years of under 23s, he he was around and he would give me some coaching, and it was all quite nice. And I had the freedom to kind of, I'd do my training, I'd go do some talks at schools, I'd like do bits and bobs, and I would see my family quite a lot, and I didn't quite have the same fixed schedule you have at Caversham at the training centre.
Mm.
So I had a bit more flexibility, but I just really enjoyed it. I was doing like UT1 ergos, like voluntarily. I did one that was like 30 minutes, UT1, and I just had like a good time. Like, I was really enjoying getting back and seeing, you know, getting sort of trying to get fit quite quickly and using the
Mm.
time. But yeah, I have been asked that question quite a few times. Like, I think someone did ask me that they heard that I started training the day after the Olympic final. I was like, no, I wasn't quite that keen. I did have a week of no training.
Yeah. Um, you know who you remind me of in terms of doing that, and it's Paul O'Donovan. Whether
Is
he's
he?
like that now, but yeah, because basically he would come back from the World Championships, and like he'd do the Olympics, then he'd do the non-Olympic Worlds, and he'd come back, and Dominic Casey had just let him do his thing and train. Yeah, um, I think that's a good person to be reminded of. You mentioned Leicester.
Yeah.
And you should say a little bit more about Leicester because they're obviously like so proud of you.
Mm. Yeah. So Leicester Rowing Club, that's always been I still race them now. I still race them now. It's a small club, but now we've got some like we're getting some more like we've had a really good season. We won some medals at the British Club Championships. We won an event at Henley Women's, which was really cool.
Mm.
But yeah, I rode at Leicester from really when I was 13, and when I left it, just when I turned 21. And well, I didn't leave, but I got on the squad. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not the biggest stretch of water. We've only got 1750 meters, and it's got a right angle bend with a double arch bridge over at 750. So it's different. You can't do like a 2K step break piece there. You have to be a bit imaginative. But for my last year I was at Leicester, I was training like on my own, like completely on my own, which meant it was really good to go out single sculling by yourself because it's a
Mm.
very sheltered bit of water. It's very calm. So yeah, I used to enjoy rowing up and down there. And then like through my juniors and under 23s, I had a fantastic coach, Howard Marsh, and he, really saw. I think what it was is I'd done a minute on the ergo or something, and it was like really quite a good score, and he started to take interest in me and was like, oh, maybe he actually coached the seniors, not the juniors, and he was like, I'll take her out for a few sessions. And his athletes were always like really like at the local stuff, like they'd always win most of the stuff. So yeah, he started to coach me, and he really instilled a lot of the sort of lessons and the foundations I still have today. He really was very instrumental at the beginning of my rowing career. I can't really thank him enough, because if he wasn't at the club, I doubt I would have made it. Like, I really highly doubt I would have made it.
Oh, that's really interesting. Mostyn Field, who is from Ardingly Rowing Club and formerly of University of London, he says he knows, and he's a fount of all knowledge. He has these amazing rowing video sites on YouTube, which you probably watched. Andy Rudkin, James's dad, was at Hollowell, so he thinks maybe James started there. I have no idea.
Yeah, I do know Andy Rudkin quite well. Like, I saw him actually at the Olympics and at Belgrade. I always have a chat to him after the racing. But yeah, I think, I'm not sure if James, I think he might have started there initially. So yeah.
I kind of, one of the things I think people that race their Olympic races or any race, particularly say like after a year, it's just over a year now, is how much they actually remember, because the memory fades even immediately after. So what do you remember? How much do you remember from that Olympic final? And if so, what?
I remember the warm-up really well, because it didn't quite go to plan.
Oh, why?
Someone caught a crab on the last practice start we did before the start.
What, you?
No.
Oh, right. Okay. Who shall be named? Who shall be
No,
nameless?
I'm not going to say who it was, but it didn't really matter, because it was just in a practice start. But I just remember Hannah was just like, everyone hold on to your blades, and then we just went and we did. But it was just such a, like, when you have these fears of like, what if I catch a crab, like when you're like the night before the final, like, what if I catch a crab, and then like it happens, and like no one would ever catch a crab in training unless we were doing like unless it was like super choppy, or we'd be doing some like strange like drill. And it was just kind of that moment when you were like it's actually happened. And I think everyone thought, if that happens, we're gonna come last, like we're not gonna get anything. And I don't really remember. I remember being, because I was doing like the calls of web around the Dutch, and I remember being about 250 to go and thinking, oh dear, we're not really, as I was calling like some of the me and Hannah were calling the moves, I remember looking and thinking, we're not really making a great deal of movement on them, as we kind of expected it to be more like the Worlds in Belgrade, where we were kind of like level, and then we'd like maybe a little bit behind and then level, and then we like move through. Whereas in Paris, we were kind of like behind, and we only literally came through, I think, on probably the last stroke. Like Andy was in the coaches go in a little car that watches the final, and they pull off at 250 to go, and he was like, oh well, silver. He was like, that's all right, like it's not what we came for, but like it's good enough. And then like I think the German coach said to him, like, because he was looking to see if his crew had got a medal, and he was like, oh, your girls won. And he was really surprised. He's like, oh, because we just didn't look at 250, we didn't look like we were gonna win.
So how did that play out for you, sat in the bows, that last 5 strokes?
I distinctly remember looking over. There was a picture of me. I looked over for the line, and I remember thinking that I was ahead of the Dutch bow girl on the line. So I felt like we'd won. But then I didn't want to start celebrating until it came up, but I felt like we'd won. So I was literally looking. The first thing I did when we finished was like look over at the scoreboard, and it must have only been about 5 seconds, and then it came up 1 GVR. And then I started to shout, like screaming, and then everyone in the boat started screaming. And it was like
Oh wow.
there's these pictures that were taken of us. And at the start, I'm screaming and pointing, and everyone else is like looks and is like, "What is going on?" And then you can tell it like moves through the boat as everyone like realizes that we've just won the Olympics, and we're all like, "Ah!" Like it's. I just remember like that moment was really just ecstatic. Like as you know, like winning the Olympics is it's what you work, it's what you do everything
Yeah.
for. Um, and then I just remember feeling like it was such a like after the Olympics, it was actually I felt just really tired. Like for that first few days
Mm,
after, like I was really tired. And I think I actually cried quite a lot. I went out for
yeah.
dinner with my parents and my aunt and uncle, and I was wearing a Team GB top because that's what we'd bought with us. And I started crying, and the waitresses and waiters thought that it was because I'd gone to the Olympics and not done very well. And then when they were like, "No, she's won," they were like, "What?" I just found it was a massive like come down,
Mm,
like very early on. And then I think the way I actually moved through that was by like being like, right, next year I want to single scull. I knew I wanted to single scull. I'd
mm.
said it before. So I was like, right, next year I want to single scull. I'm gonna start working towards that. And I think that's how I kind of got over the Olympic kind of come down quite. That's kind of how I cope with it, I'd say.
Um, in terms of identity, because we all have, different identities. I mean, and so this may be completely wrong, but I kind of look at Hannah, think, oh, she's Olympic champion, and I look at you and I think, oh, she's like the fastest single sculler. It's almost like you're not an Olympic champion, or that identity has been almost overtaken by what you've done in the single this year. And I don't know whether that's something I should be thinking or whether it's got any relevance or not.
I mean, I don't view myself as an Olympic champion, like really either. Like until people say it, like it's not really something I think about
Mm,
a lot. Like I think I'm very much like on to the next thing. Like if something goes well, I'm like, yeah, that's great, and then I'm like on to the next
mm,
thing. I
mm,
don't really take a lot of time to sort of think about it. I guess like in the future, I'd like to be like if I was ever, I really like to be like one of the all-time sort of sculling greats. That would be
yeah.
sort of the dream. Someone that people like a Mahe Drysdale kind of, or a Cynic, or someone like that, or a Kim Crow. That
Mm.
sort of someone that people refer back to as being like a real sort of great scholar. But yeah, I don't know, I find it a bit strange. I don't think a lot about like actually anything I've done in the past. I'm very much more someone that's like I'm kind of a bit more
Yeah.
focused on what's next.
I get that. And to that end, have you got your boat ready at Leicester Rowing Club immediately after the Worlds in Shanghai, or have you booked a holiday around China?
We actually can't book holiday around China
Oh,
because we're all on group visas. So we have
oh
to all
right.
actually return back to Heathrow at the
Oh,
same time.
shame.
I'm planning on going to France with some of the other girls on the team for a week, and then yeah, I'll probably start training again.
Yeah,
I don't actually currently own a Felipe. Felipe have been fantastic at giving me boats. But yeah, hopefully I can get a boat to train in at Leicester
yeah.
and sort of row about there for a couple of weeks before I come back.
For geeky people who like details, like the type of rigger and the type of hull, what is it that you
Mm.
use?
I have a Felipe F15, which is a 60. I think it's 65 to 75. It might be 60 to 70. Um, and I've been racing this year with the normal Felipe rigger. apart from at Henley, where I raced with the performance rigger on the new performance boat. But it's the boat that didn't come in time to put it in the container to Shanghai. So we're actually taking the boat. We thought it was a good bet to take the boat we've racing all season to Shanghai, because we were like, that's clearly gone quite fast. And then we're gonna, at the moment, I'm actually training a different Felipe, another F15, which is the same as the one I'm racing in, without the performance rigger. But I have actually got in the container a performance rigger and a non-performance rigger. So just a normal rigger and the performance rigger, because I haven't decided what I'm going to use yet. But essentially it's the same, but it is the exact same hull I've been racing in all year.
I'm very conscious we've been talking for over an hour, and I really do want to let you go, because I'm sort of feeling guilty about the amount of calories that you've taken in today so far. But Nick Lloyd, this doesn't have to be long. Thanks for your question, Nick. He's kind of one of these exercise drill geek type people. No doubt he wants to either coach the drills that you do or try them himself. So maybe you could give us one of the drills that you like.
So yeah, I think the two drills that I do most of are square blades and square blade variations. So like delayed feather, early square, right square, left feather, left square, right feather. But like a lot of square blades, in especially my warm-ups, and a lot of like pause rowing, so like pausing it body, pausing it arms away, pausing it quarter, and then like doing double pauses. That's like a lot of the drills I do in my warm-ups, so like quite continuous drills, just for kind of getting the feel. But I love square blades. I feel like it really, I don't know, I feel like you can really kind of feel when the blade's coming out clean. You kind of get that, you can feel when it's right quite well when it's square blades.
And just finally, how's the team mood on camp now?
I think it's very good. I think we're in a good place. I think, everyone's looking forward to Shanghai. We've got a couple of weeks at Caversham before we go, or a week and a bit. But I think we're in a really good place as a team. It's a strong team. I am definitely looking forward to seeing how we do.
Lovely. Well, Lauren, you've been absolutely amazing. I've thoroughly enjoyed everything that you've said today. We'll end the live part of this interview now, but thank you so much.
Thank you.